guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you. Today we are looking at a knife from MKM, and I have to tell you, I'm a little bit biased. I've handled a few things from MKM. I have not generally been super impressed. I've had a couple of MKMs that were had a bit of a had an issue here or there, um, but but this is one of the few knives that could change my mind, or at least be something from them that I actually, connect with and really enjoy. This is visiting from Daily Pocket Dumps. Go over and give him a follow on Instagram. And especially if you want to see a little more of this knife, he tends to throw up a picture pretty consistently of whatever he happens to be carrying that day. What we have here is the Goccia. That is an Jens Anzo design, and I have to say, a rather attractive one. It's a titanium liner lock. You can see that there. Look at that blade. It doesn't want to focus for me. Come on, guys. Come on. There we go. Beautifully done. You can see Anzo there on the blade. All right, I'm getting too caught up in the details here. You can also see that it's M390. Let me set this down really quickly and give you a size and weight. Also, let me adjust a little bit. I think the tripod's getting in the frame here a little. There we go. Come on, focus. Yeah, there we go. All right, let's put the ruler in. Take a quick look. So you can see this is like 7 3/4. So certainly, close enough to 8 inches to be acceptable as far as I'm concerned. All right, blade length of 3.5 inches, meaning this, and basically all of that is cutting edge. So pretty nice blade to handle ratio there. All right, in terms of grip area, we're dealing with like 3 3/4 inches, maybe a little under that, 3 5/8. For my size large hands, I do get a full 4-finger grip, and you can see there's a little bit of handle left coming out at the back there. So very comfortable. In a saber grip, it feels very good. Hammer grip is not quite as perfect, but saber grip is kind of how this is designed to be used, I would suggest, just based on the ergonomics. Check out the blade stock on this. Almost looks like a little over, oh man, again with the focus. There we go. So we're looking at about 5/16 of an inch there. So pretty thick, hefty blade stock. I am an absolute sucker for thick, hefty blade stock. Now I tend to like it more with a hollow grind, but with this high flat grind, it works pretty darn well. I do have my pipe insulation here that I got the other day to kind of demonstrate that this cuts pretty well. It's hard for you to see, but look at this. The reason I'm doing that is you can see how much I have to push in. Now here's the hollow ground cold steel code 4, and you can see it's the cold steel might be a teeny bit better because of that hollow grind, but it's so close. All right. Now the only problem with this is it doesn't apply much feedback. It doesn't bind to the blade at all. So as I'm moving through, right, cutting some cheese, I've talked about this before, I always get jokes about it, but cutting a piece of cheese with a knife is a really good indicator of how well that grind is going to slice, because cheese wants to bind up and stick to your blade. And so a really thin grind or a really aggressive hollow grind tends to slice through cheese so well that you can kind of, you can use it as a test bed for how your knife is going to perform in other difficult to slice materials. All right. So back to our discussion here. I should have, and I'm getting ahead of myself, I should have weighed this after I measured it for you. So let's do that now. Hello. This is going to be heavy for its size. 4.74. So 4.7 ounces for a 7 3/4 inch knife. Yeah, that's a little on the hefty side, but remember you got that thick blade stock. You have these fairly substantial titanium scales. All right. So now that we've covered size and weight, I will say this carries very comfortably. For me, I know some guys are really concerned about this, and I feel like Nut and Fancy has a lot to do with that. But as long as the knife is like under 7 ounces, I don't really care about the weight, right? If it gets beyond that, if it's like a cold steel 4 max or 5 max, yeah, it begins to be noticeable. But even those knives, I'm I'll happily carry those. You just have to adjust your wardrobe choices appropriately. Okay, so this is going to be a little more noticeable if you're wearing like a pair of linen dress pants, or you're wearing, uh, you know, nylon workout pants or something like that. But in a pair of jeans or pair of 511s or khakis or whatever, it's going to feel just fine, at least as far as I'm concerned. Some of you may be a little more sensitive to weight than me. All right. Now that we've got all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about some of these details. I've already been talking about the blade. I got ahead of myself just because it looks so cool. And I do have to say, I love the look of this blade. I love that very high flat grind. The distal taper on this is just great. This blade is really, really cool. I love how thick it is in terms of blade stock, and then the way that this overall design kind of flows. Very, very impressive. In terms of performance, M390 is great steel, very stainless, great edge retention. This is pretty thin behind the edge. Now, there's not a whole lot in terms of um, sharpenability over really, really prolonged periods of time. But if, you know, uh, you're going to be more than fine. There is a nice little sharpening choil here, and so I think you're going to be all right. It's going to thicken up as you can tell, right? The increase in thickness is going to be fairly quick because you're getting up to a very thick blade steel at the end. All right. So that's a little bit of a blade discussion. The performance on this blade is truly very impressive, and the look of it is absolutely stellar. Gorgeous, gorgeous blade. All right, moving on to the action. This is on bearings. Now it's a liner lock rather than a frame lock, which is kind of what we're used to expecting from anything with a titanium handle, although I've got a titanium knife here that breaks that rule as well. The action on this is great, very, very enjoyable. It is heavy enough that it will drop shut, but it does have the double clutch issue, so that if I put my thumb where it kind of is comfortable to get to the lock bar, right up here, and open the knife, I'm sitting right now right on the detent ball, and I've got to push it past to break that detent ball. Pretty common feature. It ends up happening because of the lock geometry and placement on a number of different knives. I prefer when it doesn't happen. If this was a knife I owned, I've had a few that are like this in the past. You end up getting used to it pretty darn quickly. All right. Nonetheless, it would be better if the detent ball was placed a little bit better, and so I didn't have to sort of give this thought. So what I end up doing is I end up moving my thumb way down here to disengage, and now I'm past the detent, so I'm okay to shut the knife. It is very smooth, very enjoyable. The flipper tab in relation to the pivot is quite high. So when you do that, right, when you move this up like that, you end up getting a pretty aggressive flip, which this certainly has, and that is very enjoyable as well. I have to say, big fan of the geometry that they've done on the flipper tab here. It works out really nicely, and it's still quite small, so very, unobtrusive. It doesn't distract you. It doesn't detract from the design in any way. So that's lockup and deployment, quite good, except the double clutch issue makes it so that, right, this is actually a very accessible liner, but I've got to move down to where it's not so accessible in order to miss the detent ball. All right. Now let's talk about this handle, because this is beautifully done. So it's 3D machined. The milling is absolutely gorgeous, and they call this the drop. That's what Goccia means. And the idea is based on a drop of water and the concentric circles sort of coming from that. And what I love is normally when you do this, right, this looks like I'm looking across the pond instead of straight down. And so I really like that thought process, and the milling to make this look this way is very impressive. So great work on the handle. It looks fantastic, and in addition to that, it then adds a really nice tactile feel. So it ends up becoming the traction plan for the knife as well. And so ergonomically, this feels really good. In a saber grip, this is very positive. This is very comfortable. I have to say they've done a great job getting a knife that just feels right in the hand. The clip here is a bent over titanium clip, and it's got quite a bit of space. And so you might think, man, that's going to be really noticeable in hand. But in fact, it fits, at least for my hand, it kind of drops nicely right into the fold of my hand. All right, we've got this beautiful anodized backspacer here with an integrated lanyard hole, which I could have done without, but nonetheless, there it is. The other point I want to make before I move totally away from this clip is just to point out that with that extra space, it works great in, like, 511 pants or Carhartts, or if you wear any pants that are kind of built to be a little tougher and more durable and they end up with the thicker seams, this works really, really well. All right, let's do some comparisons. I do have one knife in particular that I think is a very, very direct competitor to this, and that is the Tactile Turn Maverick. Similar coloring, similar materials. Now this is MagnaCut instead of M390. The milling is sort of the typical Tactile Turn milling, but both are in this similar wheelhouse where they're titanium scales, but not frame locks. All right, they're both kind of classy EDC style knives. The blade stock is a little thicker on this, which I really, really enjoy. The action on both is quite good. It's achieved differently. This is on phosphor bronze. This is on bearings. All right, I'm almost tempted to do a full side-by-side comparison of these, and I may yet do that. I've got to give it a little bit of thought, but that video might come along, especially these days. I'm not having as many knives through, so I got to squeeze as much content out of every one as I can. All right, let me throw in another. Well, let's throw in the Inkosi first of all. So there is the Inkosi, which is size and use case and stuff like that is similar to the 31 or the Sabenza. All right, and everyone's kind of familiar with those knives, so that should give you a good sense there. Another good option that I wanted to throw in would be the Cold Steel Code 4. Again, I bring this in because I know there are people watching who are like, I like a higher end, classier looking knife, but I don't always want to spend that kind of money. And these are not super cheap. Now, they're not crazy expensive either. They're certainly not as expensive as a Spenza or even as the Maverick, but they're certainly in the higher end range for folding knives. The Code 4 is pretty budget friendly. All right, so I thought I'd throw that in because it gives you sort of that clean, classy look without being quite so costly. So those are a few comparisons for you. My overall thoughts on this knife are, for first of all, it's an absolute work of art. The design is beautiful. It's definitely got that Yenzanzo look to it. You can sort of peg that certainly from the at the very least from the overall flow and that ramped up lanyard hole. The milling with the sort of concentric circles going out as from a drop of water is very nicely done. It certainly adds a level of detail to this without being overbearing, without being too noisy or too gaudy. Really, really works well. So it maintains that simple feel, but it has some nice complexity to it. All right, the liner is very solid. Lockup is very solid. Action is very good. Right, that's all quite enjoyable. And then we have this really thick, dramatic blade stock, which I absolutely love, combined with a great action and good ergonomics. So overall, yeah, overall good knife. Couple little hiccups there, some things that perhaps could have been done a little bit better, a little bit differently, but nonetheless, None of those complaints I think are substantial enough for me to say, hey, this has got an issue. I think this is overall a really, really well done knife. Very enjoyable. Steve, thanks again for letting me check this out. I absolutely love this knife. Really fortunate to be able to share it with you guys and to spend a little bit of time with it myself, just kind of geeking out over a really, really great folder. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We will talk to you soon.